All right, so you have your test review. You have your test tomorrow for over Unit 3A. Now understand that this is all just about writing equations, slope, literal equations, and graphing equations. So solving for y is going to be something that you're going to need to know. So please make sure that you know how to solve for y. And I can go ahead and give you some examples. If I have 3x minus 2y equal to 6, that is in standard form. You need to know how to go from standard form to slope-intercept form. So what are you going to do? You're going to move your x. So if this was a negative 3x, then what I would do is I would add 3x and move it to the other side of the equal sign. I get negative 2y equal to 3x plus 6, divide by negative 2, divide by negative 2, divide by negative 2, and y is equal to negative 3/2 x minus 3. Now again, a lot of y'all still are having trouble knowing that when you have negative 2 times y, you have to divide. Think of this as a couple. How do you split up a couple? You have to divide them, okay? So I don't have a plus or minus in the middle of them, so you have to divide them up. You have to split them up. So that's why you have to divide the number, the coefficient in front of your y. All right, now that I have this, I'm able to put this into my calculator and graph it. I'm going to show you how to do that in just a little bit. All right, so that's standard to slope-intercept form. Now what I need to do is I need you to understand how to go from point-slope form to slope-intercept form. All right, so what do? Let's say I have 3/2. Okay, let's throw a fraction in there. All right, what do? I have parentheses here. Well, my y equals mx plus b does not have parentheses, so I need to know that I need to distribute the 3/2. Distribute means to multiply, okay? 3/2 times x is 3/2 x. Then 3/2 times a negative 2. 3/2 times a negative 2 will give me a, and you're going to use your calculator on this, but a negative 3. Then this is equal to y minus 4. Now I don't need a y minus 4, I just need a y. So in order to get y by itself, I have to add 4 to the other side, to that other constant. So I have 3/2 x plus 1. And there is my y equals mx plus b form. So please, 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 what I'll do out of courtesy, I'll have 3 problems like this solved on the board, but understand that you have to know how to do this for the star when it comes time to do it. Okay, so know how to solve for y, please. Know how to solve for y. You're going to have 3 graphs. Excuse me, you're going to have 3 graphs to graph, and in order to graph, you need a y equals. Okay, let's go ahead and just default to y equals. XY table, get my x coordinate points so that I can go ahead and graph. Okay, now those of y'all that, and I'll go over here in just a minute. All right, so let's go ahead and look at the test review. All right, the first thing on your test that you're going to have to know how to do is go from a table to an equation. All right, so the first thing you're going to need to know is how to solve for slope. And my slope is the change of y over the change of x. The change of y over the change of x. So we have 200 minus 160 divided by 5 minus 4. This gives me 40 over 1, which gives me a slope of 40. Now, to get my equation, all I have to do is put everything in y equals mx plus b form. You're going to go ahead and pick a point. I'm just going to pick the first one. All right, so this is my x and this is my y. So when I'm going to have 160 equal to 40 times my x is 4 and then plus b. What's 40 times 4? 160. How do you get b by itself? You're going to subtract 160 from both sides. That goes away, and it just so happens that my y-intercept ends up to be 0, my origin. So again, on the y-axis, I'm going to cross b equal to 0. I'm going to cross my y-intercept of 0, the origin. All right, when I plug it into my equation, I have y equals 40x plus 0. You don't need the 0, just put y equals 40x, and I'm done. So please understand, please know how to go from a table to an equation. Now, I have to now go from a graph to an equation, not just slope, but find my whole entire equation, y equals mx plus b. So again, if you can't see the lines, all you have to do is draw your grid. Just go ahead and just fill them in. All right, now when we do this, I am already going to see that my y-intercept is -3. So understand that you need to know that when my line crosses the y-axis, that is my y-intercept. Now my other point can be -2, -2. It could also be -4, -1. So if you like to do rise over run, know that I'm going down 1 and over 2, okay? Down 1 unit over 2 units. Down 1 unit over 2 units. And that's if you're doing, and that's going to be -1 over 2 because you're going down 1 and to the right 2. Now let's say that you just, blank out and don't know how to do that. Well, that's where you need to know how to read a graph. So this is 0 on x and -3 for y. This is -2 for x, -2 for y. All I need is 2 points to find slope. Slope is equal to, this is x, this is y, of course, the change in my y's over the change in my x's. It doesn't matter which one you start with, just start with one of them and start with that the same one every single time. So I'm going to do negative, since -2 was to my left and that was to my right, I'm going to go ahead and start with this one. -3. -3 minus a -2. And because I started with a -3, now I'm going to start with a 0. I'm going to do 0 minus a -2 equals -3 plus 2 is a -1, and 0 plus 2 is 2. Again, my slope is the same, -1/2. So in case you don't know how to do rise over run, you can always do 2 points. Slope out of 2 points. All right, so now let's look at this. Now I have my slope. I need my whole equation. Well, looking at it with my eyes, my y-intercept is -3. So y is equal to -1/2 x minus 3. Now, what if, let's say your answers are not in y equals mx plus b form, but instead your answers were in standard form. Your answers were in standard form, and it looked like this. Let's say that was one of your answers. Well, how do I know that this equation is equal to that equation? You're going to have to know how to convert and solve for y. So again, move my x over. This is what I was talking about. When I went over those two problems, you have to know how to solve for y and match up your answer with their answer. So again, how do I do that? You're going to subtract 2x to both sides. You have 4y equal to -2x minus 12, and then divide by 4, the number right in front of my y. Y is equal to -3x minus, -1/2 x minus 3. I was looking ahead. Negative 1/2 x minus 3. And isn't that what I got right here? Yes, so this equation matches this equation. Now, if I'm looking at 4 answers that are in standard form, you're going to have to do this 4 different times to see which one actually gets my answer. Okay? All right, let's look at number 4. Number 4 is the same exact problem. Again, I can already tell my y-intercept is going to be positive 1. So I'm looking at y equal to something x plus 1. So I need my something. What is this something? My something is my slope. Okay, well, I need another point. So if you want to draw in your grid lines, because they're kind of faint, so draw your grid lines in. I will see right here, -4, -2. -4, -2. All right, so I have -4, -2, and then I have 0, 1. 0, so -4 is my x, -2 is my y. 0 is my x, 1 is my y. Okay. How do I solve for my slope? You're going to go ahead and do -2 minus 1, because those are my y's, and my x's are, I'm going to start with the -4. -4 minus 0. I have -3 over -4. That's 3/4. So my equation is 3/4 x plus 1. 3/4 x plus 1. Now, what if, again, on my answers, we're in point slope form this time. So what if I have y minus 2 equal to 3/4 x minus 4? Okay, how do I know that this equation is the same thing as my y equals mx plus b equation? All right, what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to distribute this 3/4 in. So 3/4 times x is 3/4 x. 3/4 times the -4 is -3. Y minus 2, to get y by itself, I have to add 2. So all we're doing is solving for y, solving for y, solving for y. Y is equal to 3/4 x minus 1. Is that the same thing as that? No, it is not. So that is not my answer. What I should have done is made this a plus and made this, that would have given me +3, and then made this a plus so that I would have to subtract 2, and that would give me my +1. So sorry about that. You kind of get the picture of what I'm trying to do here. Subtract 2, 3 minus 2 is a +1. Does this now equal this? Yes. So this here, y plus 2 equal to 3/4 x plus 4 is my actual point slope form of this equation here. Okay? So again, you're trying to figure out which one of your answers matches the equation that you just solved for. All right, let's go ahead and move to the next problem. And that next section is 9, 10, and 11. It deals with direct variation. I know that I'm dealing with direct variation because it says y varies directly with x. Y varies directly with x. So what does that mean? That means that I'm not going to have a y-intercept. I'm not going to have a b when I do my equation. It's going to be y equal to mx. That means that my y-intercept, my b, is equal to what? 0. My b is equal to 0. My y-intercept is 0. So really all I have to do to solve for m is y over x, and that's what slope is. Slope is y over x. So looking at 9, my y is 10, my x is -3, so y over x. is my slope? 10 over negative 3. That's my constant of variation. Now, when it says what is the value of y when x is negative 1, all I'm going to do is plug in negative 1. So y equals negative 10/3 times negative 1. What does that give me? Positive 10/3. And I'm done. When x is negative 1, my y is 10/3. What is my equation for direct variation? And it's y equal to negative 10/3 x. Going on with number 10, again, y is 8 and x is negative 6. My slope here is, when I reduce that, it's negative 4/3. So my equation is y equal to negative 4/3 x. Now I want to know what my y is when x is negative 2. So all I'm going to do is plug in negative 2. My answer is y equal to 8 over 3. So when x is negative 2, my y is 8/3. Now let's look at over here. Y varies directly with x. If it does, write an equation for the direct variation. Again, all you're doing is your slope is the same. So even if you blank out and you don't do 11 over 8 equals 22 over 16, which equals 33 over 24, all that is equal to 1.375. Let's say you blank out on that, just take the slope. What is right here? 22 minus 11, what is that? 11. 16 minus 8, what is that? 8. 11 divided by 8 is equal to what? 1.375. 1.375. Now do it again if you don't believe me. Right here we got 33 minus 22. 33 minus 22 is what? 11. 24 minus 16 is what? 8, which gives me 1.375. My slope never changes. So y is equal to 1.375x, where 1.375 is my constant of variation. Constant of variation. Okay, so my answer is C. All right, moving on, I want to go to number 16. These are just practice, just like you did in the beginning on numbers 2 and 3, if you needed them, or 3 and 4. Sorry, if you needed them. I have 2 points. I need to find an equation between those 2 points. So what you're going to do is you're going to find your slope. Then you're going to do y equals mx plus b, and solve for my y-intercept. So what is my slope? Well, again, know that it's xy, xy, and you can do 2 minus 8 over 7 minus 4. I started off with a 2, 2 minus 8, so I start off with a 7, x on the bottom, okay? I have negative 6 over 3, which gives me a negative 2. So I know my slope is negative 2. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pick a point. Let's go ahead and pick this one, for my x and y. My y is 2. My slope is negative 2, my x is 7, and add b. What's negative 2 plus 7 times 7? Negative 14. All I have to do is solve for b. b by itself, I need to add 14 to both sides. b is equal to 16. Now that I have my y-intercept, now that I have my slope, y equals to negative 2x plus 16, and I am done. Now make sure that if their answers are not in y equals mx plus b form, you solve for y. All right, let's look at number 17. 18 is just for practice for you. I'm going to go over number 17. All right, for 17, this is already in slope-intercept form. That means I have a y equals. You need a y equals to graph, okay? Now, I'm going to show you how to do this by hand, and then I'll show you in the calculator. All right, we have y equals 4x minus 3. I need an xy table. Now, I want to go ahead and just do -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, 3, okay? Now, when I plug, this is an input and an output machine. So when I plug in my input, I should get an output. So for -2, what is 4 times -2 minus 3? Well, this gives me -8. -8 minus 3 is -11. Ooh, -2, -11, that's here and all the way down here. So I'm not going to go ahead and plot that one. So keep going. I have 4 times -1 minus 3. Well, 4 times -1 is -4. That gives me -7. I'm still out of range. Keep going. Let's do 0 next. So we got 4 times 0 minus 3. Well, what is 4 times 0? 0 minus 3 is -3. So my point that I'm going to graph now, that I can graph, is 0, -3. Now understand that that y-intercept right there is in your equation right here. So even though you might not know where that this right here is your y-intercept, you can always find it just by plugging in 0 and then and then doing your equation to get your output. So let's go ahead and do one more point, 2 more points. 4 times 1 minus 3, that is 1, and 4 times 2 minus 3, and that is 8 minus 3, which is 5. So I have 1, 1, and 2, 5. And if you notice, for every 1x increase, you are adding 4 every single time. So 1, 1, 1, 1, and 2, 5. Again, up 1, 2, 3, 4 on the y, the rise, and then on the run, you're going over 1. 1, 2, 3, 4 over 1. And that's if you are doing it that way, by the rise over run. If not, then do the XY table. It's fine. It's right there. So now let's go and see how this looks like on the calculator. Okay? Let's go and see what this looks like on the calculator. Let me go ahead and get my calculator up so that y'all can go ahead and see it. Okay, so here's my calculator, and I need a graph. So I'm going to go ahead and go graph. So I'm going to go to the graph, and I'm going to put in y equals 4x minus 3. So I'm going to do 4, and down here I'm going to do, let's go and put this over here, 4, and then x is down here at the bottom, and then minus, and then 3, and press enter. Now that is what my line should look like. And just by looking at it, if you come over here, I believe if you, okay, press that. Okay, go to menu, table, split screen, and here are my points right here. So for 0, I'm at my y-intercept at 0, -3. 0, -3, and that is one of my points. -1, -7, that is another point. So once you get your y equals mx plus b, if you can bring this to the calculator, pull up the table, menu table, here are your table points right here. 1, 1, so I'm going to go over to 1 and plot 1. 2, 5, I'm going to go over 2, go up 5, plot that point. Once you get those points, you're going to put that in, you're going to connect the points. There's your line, and this is what you add to your table. Okay, that's simple. Now let's say I have another one to graph, right? That -2x minus 3. Well, I need to remove this table, so I'm going to go ahead and press menu again, table, and it'll say remove table, it'll go away. Now to replace your equation, all you have to do is double click. on that equation, and you're going to be moving with your mouse pad right here, this little pad. So all you have to do is just see, you're just going to go over it like this. You're going to go over the equation, and you're going to double click to get your equation. Now you're going to erase all the way to the equal sign. Do not erase anything else. And you're going to do negative. Now remember, when you're doing -2, it's this button right here. It's white on your calculator. -2x, and then you're going to do -3, and then enter. That's my line now. It's going down. Of course it would go down because my slope is negative. But now I just need some points. Well, I know that just looking at this, my y-intercept is -3, right? So now I just need some points to graph. I need another point. So go to Menu, go to Table, Split Screen, and there are my points. You have 0, -3, you have -1, -1, you have -2, 1, 1, -5. Just pick your points, graph it on your graph, and then connect your points to make a line. And that is it. So that's how you do number 17 and number 18 on that. So let's go ahead and go back to here we go. Let's go ahead and go back to our test review. So let's go ahead and move to the next page. And what are we doing here? We are going to, if I give you a slope and a point, are you able to give me an equation? And yes, you are. All you have to do is use y equals mx plus b. Your slope was given a 6. Your y, this is your x and this is your y. Your y was 3, your x is 8, plus b, you get 3 equal to 14 plus b, I'm not 14, 48. My bad, that's my bad. All right, 48, 6 times 8 is 48. Subtract 48, and b is equal to -45. So what's my equation? My equation is y equal to 6x minus 45. Now, this says write an equation in point slope form. Well, the point slope form is in y minus y1 equal to m times x minus x1, and those are what your answers are going to look like. Okay? Well, I can already tell you that my equation is going to be y minus 3 equal to 6 times x minus 8. Now, if you know how to come up with this point slope form equation by putting your slope here and your point here, then by all means, that's what you need to do. But if your answers are in this form right here, and you came up with this equation, because we've been doing this over and over and over again in class, how do you go from here to here again? Well, again, 2 steps. Distribute your 6, that's multiply. So I have 6x minus 48 equal to y minus 3. And then what do? I add 3 to both sides, y equal to 6x minus 45. This here is the same as this here, so I know that this is going to be my answer for point slope form. And again, that's if they give this to you as an answer, okay? If you have your answers in this form and you want to see if they come out to this form, slope-intercept form, all you have to do is solve for y, okay? Solve for y, solve for y, solve for y. All right, number 21. You're going to have to know how to solve for y anyways, because you need to know how to graph. You need y equals to graph. So yes, you can plot this point and use your slope by doing down 5 and over 1, but again, that is a lot of error involved, because what if you miss your negative? What if you plot the wrong point? So what I need you to know how to do is solve for what? Solve for y. So we have negative 5x and then minus 5 equal to y minus 4. So all we did is distribute the negative 5 first. Then we're going to add 4 to both sides. And now we have y equal to negative 5x minus 1. Negative 5x minus 1. Now, if I tell you to go grab your xy points, well, again, bring up your calculator. All right, I'm going to go ahead and graph on my calculator. So you're going to go to your graph in your calculator, and we're going to go ahead and enter in negative 5x minus 1. Okay? Negative. And I'm going to press this white button first right here, negative 5, and then I'm going to press X down here, and then minus 1. And I'm going to go ahead and press enter. And there's my line. Okay? Now, what I need to do is I need the menu bar, so I'm going to go, not the menu bar, the table, so I'm going to press menu, and then I'm going to go to the table, which is number 7, and then press enter for the split screen, and there's some points. So I'm going to go ahead and graph this, okay? So I'm going to graph negative 1, 4, negative 1, 4, so I can go over here on my table, and when I told y'all that y'all had to fill it out, y'all can go ahead and fill it out here. So I have negative 1, 4, I have 0, negative 1, and then I have 1, negative 6. Now, could I have solved that myself? Yes, I could have. You're just going to do negative 2, negative 1, 0, 1, and 2 on the x, and then all you're doing is plugging in to find your answer. This is 5. 5 minus 1 is what? 4. There's my negative 1, 4. Again, so you can use your calculator, or you can just plug in your inputs and get some outputs. And then plugging in negative 5, 1, and that's negative 5 minus 1, which gives me negative 6. All right, so I'm going to plot negative 1, 4, so I'm going to go to negative 1 and then positive 4 up here. Then I'm going to plot 0, negative 1. Ooh, that's my y-intercept because it's on my y-axis. Okay? And then 1, negative 6. 1, negative 6. And that's down here. Once I have my 2 to 3 points, I can go ahead and graph my line now. And I'm done. That's all you're doing. That's all you are doing. Okay? 22 is your extra practice. The equation that you are going to have to graph is when you distribute the 2, you'll get 2x minus 4. Then you're going to add 4, and you get y equal to 2x. And then that'll actually go away too. So y equals what? Y equals 2x. Is that a direct variation? Yes, it is. Why? Because your y-intercept is 0. It went away. So I know that when I plot my graph here, right, this is going to be 2x, okay? So 0, 1, 2, 3. At 0, 2 times 0 is 0, so 0, 0. Now when I do 2 times 1, it gives me what? 2. So it's 1, 2, 1, 2. And then 2 times 2 is what? 4, so it's 2, 4, 2, 4. And then 2 times 3 is what? 6. So it's 3, and then 6 would be up here somewhere. And then all you have to do is just connect your points, and you are done. So again, as long as you know how to solve for y and get it into y equals mx plus b form, this is an input-output machine. You can just go to your calculator, graph it, get some points, and you are done. Okay? All right, number 23 is just like you doing number 3 and 4 on the front. So I just need you to understand and know how to go from a graph to an equation. A graph to an equation, and know the different forms. Okay? Know the different forms. Now, I did it down here. Again, I got negative 3, 0. That is your x-intercept. Look at that. It's on your x-axis, so this is an x-intercept. And then I have negative 1, negative 4, negative 1, negative 4. That is your other point. I solved for slope, negative 4 minus 0, and then negative 1 minus a negative 3. So that gave me negative 4. That gave me a positive 2. Which gives me a negative 2 when I divide the two numbers. Negative 4 divided by negative 4 divided by 2. How do I get y equals 2x minus 6? Well, down here I can see that it's going to cross at negative 6 as my y-intercept. So again, negative 2x minus 6. Now again, if your answers look like point-slope form, all you have to do is distribute and subtract or add. So I get negative 2x minus 2, and I know I'm going to subtract 4 to go away, so subtract 4 over here, and y is equal to negative 2x minus 6. This is the same as that, what I just came up with. So this one is my answer. All right, let's move on to the next section, and this is number 25. I need the x-intercept and the y-intercept. Now if you have a graph here, it's great, but if you don't have a graph, you have to do what? You have to solve for y. That is what you are doing, solving for y. So I have negative 4x plus 2y equals 24. You don't have to know the little gimmicks, okay? In order to find your x and y-intercept, all you need is solve for y, you get your y-intercept, and then you graph to look at your x-intercept. So let me show you. I'm going to move my x first. Move my x because I need to solve for y. So I need to solve for that baby right there, okay? In order to divide these up, guess what? You divide it up. Divide by 2. So what do I have to do? I have to remove my x first. So I'm going to add 4x to the other side. So I have 2y equal to 4x plus 24. Divide by 2, divide by 2, divide by 2. Y is equal to 2x plus 12. 2x plus 12. So again, I'm going to go to my calculator. And I need to remove this table. So I'm going to go back to menu. Table, remove. Okay, I need to go replace my equation, so I'm going to grab that, double click so I can go ahead and delete my equation, and then type in my new equation, which is 2x plus 12. So 2x plus 12. Enter. So that's what that looks like, okay? I can already tell that my x-intercept is negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4, negative 5, negative 6. And I'm going to, my y-intercept is all the way up here somewhere, okay? So let me go to menu and table, split screen, and then when you 0, 12, 0, 12 is my y-intercept because at 0, 12 I'm on the y-axis, 0, 12, and I already know that my x-intercept is over here at negative 6, so when I keep going up, and right there, negative 6, comma 0, so my x-intercept is negative 6, and my y-intercept is at 12. Negative 6 and 12. All right, let's look at number 27. Again, you are solving for y, and then you are going to plug it into the calculator, get some points, or jot it down, get some points. So what do we have to do? We have to remove the x. Add 4x. Add 4x. Then I have negative 2y equal to 4x plus 8. Divide by negative 2, divide by negative 2, divide by negative 2. And y is equal to negative 2x minus 4. Giving my xy table. And plot in some points. We got 0, 1, and 2. Let's see what that gives me. Negative 2 times 0 minus 4. Well, that's 0. 0 minus 4 is negative 4. So I'm going to plot my 0, negative 4. Well, this part right here, that's not going to be multiple choice. That's going to be graphing manually. So I'm going to be graphing 0, negative 4. Well, this has 0, negative 4. This is not 0, negative 4, so that's not my answer. 0, negative 4, nope, that's not my answer. 0, negative 4, yes, that's my answer. Now look right here, my slope is a negative 2. My slope here is negative 2, so my line better be going what? Down from left to right. So I can just go ahead and look at number 1. If I put in 1, negative 2 times 1 minus 4, and that gives me negative 2 minus 4, which gives me negative 6. So I'm at 1, negative 6. And know that I'm in the in-betweens, right? Because that's 2. So 1's right here, negative 6. So I know that B is going to be my answer. And I already know that negative slopes, my lines go down from left to right. If I had positive slope, then this one would be my answer. In your XY table, all you need is 2 points that I'm grading. All right, what is the slope of the graph? All you have to do is solve for y. Solve for y. So again, remove the x. Add 5x to both sides. 8y is equal to 5x plus 30. Divide by 8, divide by 8, divide by 8. Y is equal to 5/8. X plus, and then let's see, 2 can go into both 30 and 8, so that's going to be 15 and 4. That is my equation. But they need to know the slope. So which one's the slope? The slope is the number right next to x. So my slope is 5/8. That's my slope. All right, let's go to the back, the last problems, and those are dealing with parallel and perpendicular. Please know that parallel means same slope. You're going to use your same slope for the problem, and perpendicular, you're going to use the opposite slope. Meaning, if I give you 5/8, your slope is going to be negative 8 over 5. That's going to be your perpendicular slope. Okay? So here, write an equation for the line that is parallel to this equation in this point. So this is my slope here. So my parallel slope is going to be 5 because it's the same thing. So I'm going to use that. Here's x, here's y. Again, y equals mx plus b. My y is 16, my slope is 5, my x is 2, plus b, this is 10, 16, plus b minus 10 from both sides, b is equal to 6. Y equal to 5x plus 6. Now, again, understand that this might be in point slope form or standard form, so know how to solve for y to get that. But this right here is the same slope, so that's how I know that they are parallel. Okay, they're the same but not equal to. All right, parallel, perpendicular, and neither. Parallel, perpendicular, and neither. See how I have two different forms of the lines? This is what I'm talking about. How do I know if they're parallel, perpendicular if I can't even identify the slope? Remove the x, okay? Just like what we did. Subtract 24x, move that over there. So we get negative 4y equal to negative 24x plus 12. Divide by negative 4, divide by negative 4, divide by negative 4. Y is equal to 6x minus 3. Now, let's look at my slopes. I have 6 here. I have negative 1/6 there. Are these the complete opposite? Yes. 1/6 is the flip version of 6. It's the inverse. It's the reciprocal. And this is negative and this is a positive. So, yep, this is perpendicular. Perpendicular. Okay, this one's perpendicular. Please know I'm going to have 4 equations like this. I'm going to have 4 equations on the other side, and you're just going to have to match them on this section. Which one's perpendicular? So I'm giving you the problem. Just know that in perpendicular, you're looking at the slopes, that they're the negative reciprocals of each other, the opposites, the complete opposite. Basically, flip and change, flip and change. All right, same thing here. Solve for y. You have to subtract 20x, subtract 20x. 12y is equal to negative 20x plus 12. Divide by 12, divide by 12, divide by 12. Be careful if this is a minus because that's a negative 12. Just like over here, I brought the minus with the 4y. Some of y'all are forgetting that negative, and it's going to change your whole answer around. Y equals, 4 goes into both of these, so it's going to be negative 5/3 x, and then plus 1. The perpendicular slope of negative 5/3 is positive 3/5, not 5/3. This is neither. This is neither. They're neither the same nor are they the complete opposite, so that's neither. All right, let's look at this one right here. Write the equation of a line that is perpendicular. That means that the opposite. So let's look at this one here. I have to solve for y. I have to solve for y. So 3y equals negative x plus 16 because I have to subtract my y over and then divide by 3. Y equals negative 1/3 x plus 16 over 3. Now the only thing that I care about here is the slope, because when they say perpendicular and parallel, it affects the slope. The perpendicular slope to negative 1/3 is a positive 3. So I'm going to use positive 3 for my slope. This is x, this is y, plug it into y equals mx plus b, get my y-intercept, and you are done. Y equals mx plus b. Y is negative 4, my slope is 3, my x is negative 3 plus b. I get negative 4 equal to negative 9 plus b. Add 9 to both sides, and b is equal to 5. Y is equal to 3x plus 5. That is my line that is perpendicular to that line and has this as a point on my line. Now I talked to you about testing strategies, right? If I plug in x for negative 3 and y for negative 4, both sides should equal out if that's the equation. Okay, so if this is a point on my line, if I plug in my x, I should get my y. So just know that if you're ever given the answers, you can always work backwards. Okay, so now I think these are pretty much straightforward. You can go ahead and work on those. Those are extra practice. But please know how to do 36 and 37. Solving for x here, all you have to do is add the by and then divide by a, because I have to solve for x. So I have to divide the a and the x. So x is equal to c plus by all over a. Here I have to solve for m. Y equals mx plus b. I have to solve for m, so I have to subtract b and divide by x. Y minus b will give me mx. Divide by divide by x, because I need to get m by itself. Divide by x, and m is equal to y minus b divided by x. All right, there's a good practice test online. If you want to go ahead and go and do that and see more problems, see if you can get them right. But other than that, this is what the test is going to be over. Good luck tomorrow. You'll do great.